good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
It's wonderful to be in Osceola County. And especially to be hosted here at Nacion de Fe. I want to thank Raphael and Clarabelle. Thank you for hosting us. And you all please take a seat. We've got a nice program here today. We are joined by a lot of folks today. We have the President of the Florida Senate with us today, Wilton Simpson, the Speaker of the Florida House, Chris Sprowls, the Secretary for the Agency of Healthcare Administration, Simone Marstiller. We have Senator Kelly Stargel, Representative Aaron Grawl, Representatives Persons Malika, Tomko, and Burton, Senators Bradley and Mayfield, and then Representatives Bell, Toledo, Trabulsi, Tuck, Federhoff, Byrd, Beltran, Barnaby, Harding, and then Senators Baxley and Burgess. So I want to thank all of you. We are also joined by pro-life advocates, Heather Barwick, Terry Kellogg, Hope Kellogg, and Kelly Terrian. So I want to thank them, and you're going to hear from them when we get on to this. We are here today to protect life. We are here today to defend those who can't defend themselves. And in just a minute, I will be signing House Bill 5, which protects the rights of unborn children starting at 15 weeks. This is a time where these babies have beating hearts. They can move, they can taste, they can see, they can feel pain, they can suck their thumbs, and they have brain waves. And so this will represent the most significant protections for life that have been enacted in this state in a generation. And if you look what's going on in certain segments of our society, particularly amongst people who are affiliated with the far left of our political spectrum, of course, that's overrepresented in places like Hollywood, in the media, and obviously in one of our major political parties. But they are now taking the position that babies can be aborted up to the 9th month. Literally, you can go back for you parents, and those are some of the most significant experiences of my life, to hold your child for the very first time. What they would say is, parent holding that child, if you just go back a day or two, then you would have been able to snuff the child out entirely. That is just fundamentally wrong. That is infanticide, and that has no place. And you see how that type of mindset has led to things that really shock the conscience in our society. We just saw this terrible scandal in Washington, D.C. Where is Mary Margaret here from the Daily Wire? There's Mary Margaret. She did this great expose. They found all these remains of babies, and they found 5 who were basically infants, premature they would have been, but they would have been able to survive, outside the womb. And yet Washington, D.C. Is treating that just like we would treat the trash from our lunch or something like that. It's really horrifying to see that could go on in our country, but particularly in our nation's capital. And so that is callous, that is wrong, and I want to thank her and Daily Wire for exposing this. And so what we're doing today is saying that we will not let that happen in the state of Florida. As I said, the bill today will provide protections for unborn children from abortion when the child reaches 15 weeks of gestational age. Of course, these are babies that have heartbeats and that can feel pain and can move, as we said. The bill also expands fetal infant mortality review committees across the state, which engage medical professionals and communities to review infant mortality cases and recommends reduction efforts tailored to their communities. Nearly half of Florida's counties are currently not represented within a review committee, and data shows that mortality rates are higher in these areas. So this bill appropriates funds for up to 11 more of these fetal infant mortality review committees to cover the entire state. HB 5 also requires hospitals with labor and delivery services to participate in Florida prenatal quality collaborative initiatives, which range from opioid recovery programs to reducing cesarean overuse in deliveries. This requirement will move Florida to a statewide standard for quality birthing services and evidence-based interventions around issues like opioid abuse that cause higher rates of infant mortality. So we are viewing this in terms of protecting life as something that we see through. Really, if you look at what we've done this week, we're promoting fatherhood in Florida. We want our kids to have dads in the home. We want the fathers present. Take responsibility. It's the most important thing you can do is to take responsibility for the upbringing of your kids. And if you look, then probably one of the worst social trends we have. You go back to like the mid-1950s, you didn't have very many broken families. Now it's increased dramatically, and it is in every racial or ethnic group. You know, there's some more acute than others, but it is increased across the board. So this is a society-wide problem. And, you know, I think back to prior to us having kids, my wife and I, and when we were married, you know, we had a lot of fun. You know, when you don't have kids, you can just kind of do what you want. You want to go to dinner? Just do it. You want to get in the car, go somewhere on the weekend? Do it. Fly, whatever you want, you can probably figure out a way to do it without necessarily, well, when you have the kids, man, that changes things because now you have responsibilities. And it's not easy. There's a lot of challenges with being a parent. But I can tell you that responsibility is something that I would not trade for the world. We have 3, 5, and under, and when we signed the fatherhood bill on Monday, which was really great work by Speaker Sprowls leading the effort, we I had my 5-year-old Matt. She's an old pro at this. She's come to a lot of stuff with me. But my 2-year-old Mamie, it was her debut of being able to go to work with Daddy, and so she did. So, but so we have 3, and people will tell me, like, oh man, I see you all around the state, you're working hard, you gotta go home and get some rest. And I just wanna let people know, when I'm at home, I am not resting. It's just the way it is. But what you do by being present, particularly, these dads who really need to be in their kids' life, you are providing that role model for these kids to be able to grow up and lead meaningful lives. And the statistics are overwhelming. When kids grow up without a dad in the home, the chances of them dropping out of school, getting in trouble with the law, drugs, you name it, that increases dramatically. And so we're really proud to be leading on fatherhood and to promote it. We're going to work with some great nonprofit groups to be able to do that. We also were able to sign this week a bill with probably, as Senator Simpson, correct me if I'm wrong, probably the strongest expansion of support for adoption and foster care in the modern history of the state. We believe that that everybody counts. And we want to be able to have everybody have an opportunity to realize their dreams, to make the most of their God-given potential. And sometimes you need to have some folks that will step up and help with that. And so we're now increasing incentives for family members and close friends to adopt. We're providing financial incentives. We're providing more opportunities for kids that come through our foster system to have tuition and fee waivers to go on to some of our state colleges and universities. And so we're excited about doing that. And we believe that that all these kids deserve an opportunity. And so we're not just giving lip service to that. We're actually signing legislation and we're putting money behind these ideas. And so I think it's been a really exciting week. And then, of course, to be able to sign the bill here today is really, really meaningful. I mean, I think that just for all you parents out there, particularly parents that are relatively more recent, you know, when I was born, they didn't necessarily have all the stuff where you can see and chart the progress as the baby develops, you know, in the mother's womb. But this is really meaningful, and I want to thank all the legislators who had so much to do with this. It's a statement of our values that every life is important. So we're going to hear from some folks involved in crafting the legislation, also from some of our pro-life advocates. And so I want to first bring up our Senate President, Wilton Simpson.
Thank you, Governor. I love to hear about the governor's children. I've heard that story a couple times now. And if you get to live to be old enough, then you have grandchildren. And the real fun begins. You know, this has been a transformative week. Our governor has signed into law 3 bills that will change lives and save lives in this state. How about that, right? We have a duty to protect life. Abortion kills children and forever changes the life of mothers, the father, and the entire extended family. Every unborn child is a special and unique human being deserving of protection from harm and the chance to grow up in a loving family. As an adopted child, I am proud to live in a state that not only protects innocent unborn life, but also supports children and gives parents the tools they need to choose life for their babies. Earlier this week, we saw the governor sign into law the Historic Fatherhood Initiative. Meaningful relationships with adults who set a good example, whether a birth parent, adoptive parent, or foster parent, we can have a lifetime of impact. I commend Speaker Sprouse for his dedication to ensuring every Florida child has the opportunity to have a positive role model in their lives. Thank you, Speaker. Also, our governor signed into law increased benefits for foster families and caregivers that are not relatives this week. When I was growing up, we also had foster children in our home, so it's something that was near and dear to my heart as we move through this legislation. Improving the level of benefits for family members and foster parents could mean all the difference when these folks are considering whether they can take in a vulnerable child. The earlier in life we can give children a safe, permanent home, the better opportunities those children will have for the rest of their lives. Government is a horrible parent. But we can and continue to make foster children a priority by identifying and supporting caring families for them. Governor DeSantis, our First Lady, Speaker Sprouse, Senator Stargell was our hero on this bill in the Senate this year. And other amazing leaders in this effort. I am tremendously grateful for their support of this pro-life policy reforms that children and young adults in this state. Thank you, Governor, and thank you for your work.
Okay, House Speaker Chris Sprowls.
Thank you, Governor. What a day, what a week. Every child has the right to life. Like many of you, I believe that life is a gift from God. And as I look out into this audience, I see many familiar faces who have been warriors on the front lines of the life movement, whether it is ministry, whether it is ministering to young women, whether it is helping them as they give birth to their child in pregnancy centers across the state. You have been a part of this as much as every single legislator here, and for that we are very grateful. We are blessed to be Floridians because behind me stands the most pro-life governor in America. And if it was just today and the signing of this bill, that would be enough. But it's not enough for this governor, it's not enough for this legislature, because just this week, this governor and this legislature not only championed the right to life, that every child has the right to be born, but that they have the right to be born into a family that loves them. This is the governor and a legislature that fights for fathers to be present in the lives of their children. This is a governor and a legislature who understands that not every child is going to have the opportunity to be raised by their mother or their father, which is why he signed Senate President Simpson's vision about adoption and foster care to make sure that we're lifting up people who can serve as mothers and fathers to the children, to the forgotten and the downtrodden among us. And over these past 2 years, whether it was last year in this legislature, folks like Chair Burton, who's here with us today, leading on maternal health care to make sure that women who are born, who give birth to children, making sure that they have health care for up to a year to make sure that their babies get to be healthy. I want to thank Representatives Grawl, Senator Stargell, Representative Burton, Representative Persons Maleka. You know, in every legislature, in every bill, whether it's fatherlessness or adoption or foster care, you need warriors to lead the fight, and these women have been the tip of the spear. I know my sister is watching. She couldn't come today, but she runs a program in Pasco County for pregnant teens, helping new mothers understand what it's like to be a parent, to fight for their children. And what we are doing here today, what the governor is about to do, is the legacy of each one of your fights. Each time that you have worked to save a child's life, each time you've helped a child who's been born be successful, to have contact with their parent, or to do well in K-12 education. All of that is a legacy that starts with life, and that is what we are doing here today. And the reality is, when you add up all those things, when you add up our commitment to life, this governor's commitment to fathers and adoption and foster care and new moms and making sure they're healthy, it all equals one thing, and that is this is the most pro-family governor and legislature in the entire United States of America. God bless you all.
When they do the legislation, there's got to be an individual representative or senator, one in each chamber that spearheads it. So we're going to hear from the authors of this legislation. So first, from the upper chamber, Close by. Do you have Osceola in your district, or is it all Polk? Okay, so nearby, next door in Polk County, Senator Kelly Stargell.
Thank you. What a day this is, what a week this has been. Honestly, what a legislative session it has been. I ran for office on family values and wanting to be able to do things to strengthen the family. And we have absolutely had the ability to do that this past 2 years in legislative session. President Simpson, Speaker Sprouse, our governor. You could not have a better team of people who worked alongside all of us to make sure this has been done. And I say all of us because I look out at this group, and many of you I've been working with on these issues for my entire 15 years in the legislative process. When I ran for office, this was something I never dreamed that we'd be to a day where we're looking at the potential of Roe v. Wade being overturned. And that we're protecting the life of every single baby past 15 weeks of gestation. Obviously, hopefully in the future there will be no abortions, that babies will be wanted no matter when they're conceived. You know, my story was an unexpected pregnancy. As the song says, there is no pregnancy that's unplanned. God had a plan for every single child that he allowed to be conceived. And what we as a society need to do is surround those families and surround those children and make sure that every one of those children gets to meet their maximum potential. My daughter, who was the unplanned, served in the military and took out terrorists. Can you imagine what things would have been like had she not been born? It's an amazing day. I can't thank all of you enough for your sticking through in the advocacy. And again, I can't thank the leaders that we have with President Simpson and Speaker Sprouse and our governor to make sure that this day came to fruition. Thank you all very much.
From the House, Representative Aaron Grahl.
Thank you to all of you for your advocacy, for your prayers, for the support that you give to pregnant women, to families. I too look out and see a lot of friendly faces. People that I know have prayed for me, have prayed for our legislators because you've told me, and I feel those prayers. But people that I know are praying every day to end the horrific abortions that plague our country. What you do saves lives. We all know that once a woman becomes pregnant, two uniquely independent human beings exist. Life remains a life, whether planned or unplanned. Life remains a life, whether wanted or unwanted. Life remains a life, whether in the womb or outside the womb. The consequences of abortion are devastating, and we all know that firsthand, not only for the child whose life is being terminated, but for our society that becomes increasingly numb to the intrinsic value of human life. Abortion sanctions the killing of a child if a parent deems that child to be inconvenient. The message this sends to our children is reprehensible, and it's unacceptable. The reality of the Roe decision is that men on the Supreme Court proclaimed that women, in order to achieve equality with men, must be able to kill their own children. As a woman, I refuse to accept such a perverse version of equality. More than 60 million American children have been exterminated through the atrocity of abortion since 1973, and sadly, we will never know the contributions of those sweet children to our communities. Further, the barbaric act of late-term abortion subtracts from our humanity, and this law will end such evil practices. I am proud to live in the great state of Florida, where we all stand up for children and families, where we value the dignity of all human life. Without a commitment to all life, nothing else that we do matters. The consequence of Roe versus Wade is that everyone in this room does love someone who has had an abortion or who has been touched by an abortion. But that doesn't mean we have to support abortion as an alternative to life. It means that we need to love each other and support each other as we seek to end this horrific chapter in our country's history. Thank you to my family for their courage and support in the face of evil and hatred. For us, it makes it clear that this fight is the right fight and the just fight. And I want to thank my colleagues for their courageous stand on this fundamental issue. Thank you to Chair Burton and Representative Persons Mullica for their leadership in the House. Thank you to Senator Stargel for being an incredible Senate partner and mentor on critical pro-life policies. She has led the fight for our most vulnerable, and her contributions to this state are profound. Thank you to President Simpson and Speaker Sprowls for your leadership, for your steadfast dedication to the unborn and to our families. And finally, we are grateful to live in a state where our governor's commitment to the sanctity of all human life is unwavering. And for that, we are so, so grateful. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to hear from some advocates. So I have Heather Barwick to start.
My name is Heather Brawl Barwick. I am the sister who Representative Brawl has mentioned during past committee and floor discussions related to abortion. I am the person who she loves who has had an abortion. And let me tell you, she sure does get beat up on Twitter for sharing my story, but I want her to share it. I want her to share it because I want women and men who have been impacted by abortion to know that healing is possible. I held on to my painful secret for 20 years. That decision that I made when I was 21 years old shaped my life in ways that I'm still uncovering. There are several things that led me to be honest about my past. The first is Erin's time in Tallahassee. I have watched her committee meetings, and there are two types of people that have led me to speak up. The women who say that abortion does not cause mental distress, and the women in their 70s who had abortions and testify that just now they're able to speak about them and the regret that they have felt for over 40 years. I was also able to open up because of my time praying outside of our local abortion clinic with 40 Days for Life. Standing on that sidewalk, I knew that I had to be able to reach out to women seeking abortions and let them know that I had been in their shoes, to let them know that they were going to be forever changed whether they had their baby or not. I also knew that I had to be honest for my daughter, my 6-year-old daughter, and my 19 nieces and nephews. I made a mistake that I cannot change, but I can let others learn from my mistake. And when the time is right, I will talk to my daughter about it. And I will also talk to all of her cousins when their parents are ready for that too, about my experience. I've only been able to speak publicly about my abortion over the past 2 years, which has finally allowed healing to begin. I am continuing to seek out ways to heal and discovering that I have a long way to go. I've been fortunate to find incredibly strong women and men who have experienced the ills of abortion to guide me and give me hope. Those praying with me on the sidewalks, those at my Rachel's Vineyard retreat, and those in my church. I have also been fortunate to be a sounding board for so many, too many, of my friends and the people in my community who have shared their abortion stories with me, but they're still holding on to their stories, and their secrets. Honesty has been liberating, and I wish more people felt that they could talk openly about their pasts. As sinful as it might feel to them, they certainly deserve peace. The bill that the governor is signing today This bill will save babies. Yes. This bill will save mothers and fathers from the lifetime of pain and regret that I have suffered, and for that I am so grateful. But this bill will not save all babies, which means there will continue to be women and men anguishing from abortion. And I hope that hearing my testimony today gives them courage and comfort. Comfort to know that they can experience healing and that they are not alone. There are a vast amount of resources available to women and men who have been affected by abortion. Please seek those out and free yourself. Please talk freely about the devastation of abortion so we can one day stop talking about abortion. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, Terry and Hope Kellogg.
I'm Terry, and this is Hope. I want to tell you a little bit about how my daughter's life started. When Hope is an abortion survivor. When she was 10 and a half weeks gestation, that's the first trimester, her birth mother went and had an abortion at an abortion facility. And she left that day believing that she had had the abortion. And then, but God had spared her life, and she continued to grow in secret until she was 5.5 months, and then she felt movement. Her birth mother felt movement, and then decided to choose life. And at that point, she chose adoption, and didn't know anything was wrong with her baby until she delivered 2 months early. Hope weighed 3 pounds 6 ounces. She was delivered at 32 weeks. And she had a large injury to her forehead, back to her right ear, from the 10-week abortion, failed abortion, where the skull and the scalp had been cut and it was jagged, and her brain was exposed, and there was extra skin pushed down on one side, and that's when it came to light what had happened at the failed abortion from She's a fighter. She'd been fighting since the 10.5-week abortion, and until even the first month of her life, where she was fighting. She has cerebral palsy as a result, and she still has this scar on her head. And we brought her home. We adopted her when she was 3 months old, when she was discharged from the hospital. And she's been a blessing. She's a blessing to everybody that knows her. She's a friend to all. She describes herself that way. And she's an encourager. She's a peacemaker. Her life has great value. And we love her, and she loves talking. She would want to be talking right now too. It would be off topic, but so when I look at her and I see her scar, I'm reminded of how God spared her life. I'm reminded that she survived an abortion when there's 2,363 babies that don't survive it daily, and her scar, it gives evidence to what's done in secret, and I'm thankful to have her as my daughter. I'm thankful to her birth mother for choosing life when she was given a second chance. And I'm thankful. My heart is full to be here with all of you that have done so much to stand for life and be a voice for those that don't have a voice. And we're glad to be able to share our story too. And thank you for having us.
Okay, Kelly. Kelly?
Hi, good morning. My name is Kelly Thurian. I don't have a speech. I'm just going to speak from the heart. I found out I was pregnant. I was 38 years old. Nobody wanted my daughter. Her father said, it's not mine. Haven't heard from over 4 years. My parents wanted nothing to do with the pregnancy. My mother even took me for the abortion. When I got there, I didn't do it. Instead, I opted for the ultrasound. I was 6 weeks, 6 days. I did everything by myself. I found out from J&J Pregnancy Center from my Healthy Start coach. I did all the classes by myself. I had nothing, I had nobody. You don't want to be out there begging. It's hard. But I did it. I was high risk because of my age. I did all the doctor's appointments by myself. I drove myself to the hospital to be induced for 3 days before having her. I drove myself home. My daughter's gonna be 3.5 on the 17th. She's never met her father. My parents are in love with her. There are options out there. Abortion's not it. I'll be honest with you, I was pro-choice. But you know what? When you get in that spot, and it's you personally, it messes with your mind. And I'm against it now. I wouldn't have her. I wouldn't have her. You know, people will say, oh, well, it's a mistake. She was a mistake. No, she was a surprise. Okay? A mistake or accident, no. A surprise is something you weren't wishing for or you weren't expecting. I was told I couldn't have kids. Here I am. I'm 42. I got a 3.5-year-old. The kid knows what an octagon is. I don't even know what an octagon is. So she knows all her shapes, colors, everything by the time she was 2. I worked with her so much. So she's in school right now. She was gonna come, but she wanted to do her Easter party, so. She's hunting eggs right now.
That's fun.
But thank you for signing this.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me up here. I really thought I was gonna need an oxygen tank. I was gonna fall on the floor when I saw all of you. But you guys are awesome.
Did really good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And now in the unenviable task of following that, we have our wonderful Secretary of ACA, Simone Marsteller.
Indeed, there should not be a dry eye in the house right now. What an incredible story, what incredible strength, and I think I saw a sign out here that says courage. And that's exactly what it takes for any woman, young, teenager, 20s, 30s, whatever, who finds herself at a crossroads and really has to make the toughest decision of her life, I would argue. I've been there. I was 19 years old. I had started college at 16, was on my way to graduating before my 21st birthday. Really, really enjoyed college, as you can imagine. Fell pregnant at 19 and went to a physician to confirm that. And I'm not even gonna go into the detail, but suffice it to say that because of how I looked, right? Certain assumptions were made, and I was handed a referral for abortion. I didn't get a conversation or counseling about prenatal care, none of that. Assumptions were made. And I think it's fair to say that almost on the strength of that, but I talked to my mother about it, and we decided no, not gonna go that way. Kept my baby. And for those who are mothers in the room, I enjoyed being pregnant. I enjoyed getting stretch marks. I loved it. All right? I don't like them too much now, but I liked them then. And when that yelling, screaming baby was born and they laid her on my chest and she fell immediately silent, I knew that I had done the right thing. Not that I had any doubts, but I knew at that moment that I had done the right thing. And, being a single mother has not been easy. It's been challenging, but I went back and I finished my college degree. I had to go on welfare to do it, but I did it. I went to law school. I lived on loans. I lost my house in foreclosure behind that, but it is what it is. You can survive that, right? And overcome it. And now, thanks to the good Lord above, I have the good fortune to be working for this man at this time, standing at this podium on this day. Right? And if the only purpose that I have on this earth was to have been the vessel for the child that came out through me to serve her purpose, then I am more than happy that that's my purpose in life. But one more thing, and I'll hand it back to the governor. I hope and I assume that there is at least somebody out there listening to my voice who will be encouraged by my story, by the story you just heard. Don't listen to the narrative that people are trying to push on you. You're young, you need to do this because your life will be ruined, blah, blah, blah. That is not the case. There are people on this stage who are here to tell you to not believe that narrative. Make the choice, choose life, you'll be fine, and all will be well. Thank you.
All right, well, now I'm going to go over to the chair here, and we're going to... Today is the 14th? 13th?
14.
There we go. Who else spoke?
All right. Now what are we doing now?
Oh, good.